Hey guys, today is Friday, December the 11th. The time is 2:30 p.m. and the temperature right now is 7 degrees Celsius. I'm here on Front Street West in downtown Toronto, just across from Union Station. And there's a look at the Fairmont Royal York Hotel. The plan for this one is to head west along Front Street, then I'll pass through the CityPlace neighborhood and pass over the Bridge of Light. Then I'll check out Draper Street, which is known for its collection of 19th century Victorian style cottage homes. Then I'll find my way to Niagara Street and head up to King Street West. There's certainly a lot of cabs hanging out on Front Street right now. I'm a bit surprised to see this, given that we are in the financial district and there's not a whole lot of business activity going on downtown these days. This is University Avenue I'm approaching, well, to the north. On the left side there is University Avenue, and on the right is York Street. This is where University ends, but York Street continues down to the lake. There's a look at Kelly's Landing. We'll be going by another one of the landing pubs in that chain. That'll be located in CityPlace. On my way over here, I saw on the news that there were some small business protests taking place in various parts of the city, including along the Danforth. They're protesting, I can't speak today, a lot of the restrictive measures placed against them and the lack of financial support from the province. Perhaps next time I can get wind of those in advance and plan a walk that passes alongside them. There's a look at the Loose Moose and Jack Astor's. Both of those places would normally be quite full on a late Friday afternoon / Friday evening. And of course, if there's any sporting events going on at the Skydome or Scotiabank Arena. A lot of the bars and restaurants in this area tend to fill up. And here's where a new TD Bank and Ontario Teachers Pension Plan tower is going up. It'll be interesting to watch this one go up. It's in a fairly prominent location. And this here is Simcoe Street. To the south, down to Queens Quay, it is Lower Simcoe Street. And I have done walks north up Simcoe before. I've also live streamed up Simcoe a few times. That is Simcoe Place in the center of the screen. For the longest time, that used to be the largest tower along this stretch of Front Street in downtown, but there's a new RBC tower that sprung up behind it in recent years, along with a Ritz-Carlton hotel. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that one's around 500 feet in height, which these days isn't that tall for the downtown core. There's a look back at the financial district. That building over there is the home of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. And that would be the Ritz-Carlton. And on the left is the Metro Toronto Convention Centre, which is probably having the quietest year in its existence. I remember checking out the auto show there as a kid. There was even a few years, I think, where the auto show spilled over into the floor of the Skydome, so that was kind of neat. It was always kind of a thrill checking out all the supercars. But these days, all you have to do is go for a walk around Yorkville, and you will see plenty of them. It's kind of eerie how quiet it is right now. In a moment, I'll be passing by where you would enter to get to the CN Tower or Ripley's Aquarium or Toronto Skydome. You could also pass through to the Roundhouse, and that's where you'll find an old train museum and the Steam Whistle Brewery, as well as the Rec Room, which is a large Dave & Buster's style entertainment complex. And where you see the Pint Public House used to be a Planet Hollywood at one time. There's a look at the Skydome in the background, which is rumored to be going through a redevelopment at some point in the near future. And there's a look up at the tower. Normally when there's a baseball game going on at the Skydome, this stretch of the sidewalk would just be full of hot dog vendors. That's just one of the many industries that have been hit quite hard by this pandemic. So the next major street will be Blue Jays Way, and then after that will be Spadina, where I'll turn north and head up to Fort York Boulevard. This north side of Front Street used to be pretty much a sea of parking lots back in the day. This area does have excellent transit connections. There's Union Station not too far away where you could take a GO bus if you're commuting in from the outer regions of the GTA. There's also a GO bus terminal and an airport connection. It looks like there's a redevelopment plan for this property. 4 buildings totaling 44 to 58 stories. We're at the point in the city where it's not too uncommon to see a relatively modern building have a redevelopment sign up on it. And this is Blue Jays Way. To the north of King, it is known as Peter Street, and it heads through the entertainment district. But after the Blue Jays won a couple of World Series championships in the early 90s, it was renamed in honor of them. They also renamed part of Bremner to Raptors Way after the Raptors championship win. So these towers here on the left were the first of the CityPlace developments. They were completed in 2003. CityPlace is a planned residential neighborhood being built by the Concord Addicts. I said that weird, but they're a large developer from BC. And just up ahead, on the northwest corner of Front Street and Spadina Avenue, is a project called The Well. That will be a mix of condos, offices, various public spaces, rentals, retail, and townhomes. There'll be a total of 7 towers, with the tallest being 46 stories. And that used to be a Toyota dealership. There's one of the last remaining of the large parking lots along front. So this here is Spadina Avenue. There's no way to cross the street on the south side, so I'll head south along the east side of the street until I get to the intersection of Fort York and Spadina. These towers in front of me are part of the CityPlace development. And there's a look at the Sky Dome with the South Core District looming behind it. And of course, the CN Tower. And there is more of the CityPlace development to the right. The entire project is something in the neighborhood of 44 acres, and I think when all is said and done, there'll be 7,500 residential units. And just in front of me, the tallest towers in the project are going up. They will be 49 and 59 stories tall. It'll be neat to keep an eye on those and watch those go up. I remember a long time ago, there was a centerpiece building called the Signature Tower that I'm not sure how tall it was going to be, but at the time it would have been the tallest residential building in the city, but I'm not sure they actually went through with that, or will still be going through with that. So on the left here is Bremner Boulevard. That will lead you down to the Sky Dome. But once I cross the street, I'll be on Fort York Boulevard. That's a look north up Spadina. There's a Sobeys supermarket serving this neighborhood. It's one of the more expensive supermarkets you could go to. There's a large community center. I think this area is known as Canoe Landing. And just to the south of here should be a public school. I think that's the Gene Lum Public School. So it certainly has the feeling of a planned neighborhood. You would never suspect that this place came to life organically like a lot of the city's great neighborhoods did. I'm planning to do a more thorough walkthrough of this area, probably in the evening and heading in the other direction. As walking towards the CN Tower while it's all lit up at night is quite stunning. Here's the large public spot. There's a big athletic field in the back there. And that would be the public school off in the distance. There's that other pub in the landing chain. That is Hunter's Landing. Fort York Boulevard does continue to the west to Bathurst Street, where on the other side you'll find Fort York itself, which is an old military base set up to protect what was then the town of York. But what I'll be doing is crossing over this bridge right here. That is the, pardon my Spanish, Puente de Luz. Otherwise known as the Bridge of Light. And that was installed back in 2012. But shortly after it opened, they had to close it as there were concerns of people tripping over some of the joints in the bridge construction. So that was repaired and it later reopened in December of 2012. There's a look at the rail yards. And that would be Front Street West, just on the other side. And that's a direct look at Draper Street, where I'm heading. I've only recorded this bridge twice before on this channel, once on a bike ride and another was on a recent live stream. It is Friday, so I will be doing a live stream later tonight.
Next year I want to go in that party.
Let's look off to the west. I can't quite stick my camera lens through these, whatever you call it, screen barrier, to get an unobstructed view. Although it looks like a GO train might be rolling in from the west right now. These trains here are probably primed up and ready to serve the non-existent rush hour. And that was actually a via train coming in from the west. One thing we are definitely lacking is a proper high-speed rail network. Canada is such a big country, and Ontario is such a huge province that such an undertaking would probably not be profitable at all without a substantial government subsidizing. There have been talks of building a high-speed rail that would go out as far as London, but I'm not really sure the status of that right now. And I'm heading down towards Front Street. And then I'll go east for a block and we'll hit Draper Street. There's a look at the sun peeking behind the clouds. Peeking behind the clouds. Peeking out from behind the clouds. It's one of the disadvantages of recording videos like this. I don't really have the luxury of hitting rewind and re-recording things when I screw up. Let's look east down Front Street West. And there's a look north up Portland Street. I'll be crossing back over this way soon. And as you can see, this entire area resembles a bit of a construction zone. It's probably one of the last places you'd expect to find a street of 19th century Victorian style cottage row homes, but that's exactly where we're headed. And here we are. This is Draper Street. These homes were constructed between 1881 and 1889. And they were protected under the province's Heritage Act in 1999. There was a gentleman named Bill Brockenshire who recently passed away, and he kind of championed this neighborhood and the preservation of these homes. This street certainly wouldn't be out of place at all in the Cabbagetown neighborhood. And someone's trying to squeeze a new project into here. 7 buildings between 14 and 46 stories. I would imagine they wouldn't be able to front this street at any more than 2 stories high. These homes all do seem to sport these heritage plaques on them. And that is pretty much it. Hopefully once this construction is done, they'll resurface the street. It's a bit of a mess right now. And I'd be curious to know what percentage of people in the city actually know Draper Street exists. It's certainly not something you'd expect to find in this area, sandwiched between Wellington Street West, which is what I'm approaching now, and Front Street. And this here is Portland Street that I'm approaching. You could take that north up to Queen Street. And just short of Queen Street, you could hang a right and pass down Graffiti Alley. And this is Victoria Memorial Square, which used to be part of Fort York. So these are some of the gravestones that survived one of the battles that took place. And one of them had a date of 1826 marked on it. And there is Niagara Street, which I'll be taking. It kind of bends to the northwest, and I'll walk along Niagara up to King Street West. I'm actually on my way to return something to a friend, so I kind of planned this walk to get me there. And you'll have to excuse my ignorance, but I don't know who exactly that is supposed to be. In memory of officers and non-commissioned officers and men who were killed or died of wounds in the following regiments or companies of regiments. And that's dated 1813. So now I'm currently walking west along Niagara Street. This here is Drapter Street. Which is currently closed to the south at the bridge there. Which is why they're not currently running streetcars along it. There's some really nice older homes on this part of Niagara Street. These are not too unlike what you'll find on Draper Street, although I'm not seeing any heritage plaques on them. There's a really old warehouse or factory on the left. And I think that used to be the National Casket Company factory. I remember reading about this building at some point. And if I were to guess, I would say that it's probably somewhere around the 1870s or 1880s. In a previous life, I used to have to insure a lot of these older buildings in and around the city. So I tend to be somewhat familiar with what time period they'd be from. And I think this one in specifically, I remember doing a fair bit of research on at some point. I don't know who that guy was honking at. And this is Tecumseh Street. I was about to say he went from the sidewalk on one side of the street to the other, when really, if you're an adult, you should not be riding your sidewalk or your bike on the sidewalk in Toronto. I don't see any signs, but I believe that is Wellington Street I just crossed. And just off in the distance there would be at the Garrison Crossing. And here's something you don't see a whole lot of. At least not in Toronto. Qigong, Kung Fu, Tai Chi, and meditation classes, although I don't think they'd be allowed to offer any of those in the current climate. And just up ahead is King Street West, so I'm pretty much at my final destination. I think Niagara Street continues north up to Queen Street. There's a look to the west, down King, or rather east. That's towards the financial district. And there's the 504 King Street streetcar. I'm actually heading over into this condo complex across the street. So this is pretty much it for this walk. I hope you enjoyed this trip, starting from just in front of Union Station on Front Street West, where I walked over to the CityPlace neighborhood, and then along the Bridge of Light and up Draper Street, and I made my way over to Niagara Street and then up to King Street West. I'd like to thank everyone who has subscribed to this channel and my other channel, Johnny Stumbles. If you wish to support what I'm doing, there are links to my Patreon account in the description, as well as Instagram, and you can check out channel memberships from the main page. So I'm just heading over to one of these condo homes just to leave something. So I will end the video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you on the next one.